Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's show. This morning it is 9 a.m. on the West Coast where I sit. It is noon on the East Coast if you're with us over there. And I think it's about 2 hours ahead if you're in Colombia, which is where we're calling into today. I'm about to bring Bob Benck on. You probably know Bob from several of the episodes we've done here where we've had great conversations with farmer partners and producers out of countries of origin. And today is no exception. We're going to be talking with Bob, with one of our partners who helps us secure great coffees out of Colombia. So with no further ado, I'm actually going to bring Bob in here and say hello to him and hope that he is doing well today. Hey Bob, how are you?
Good morning, Josh. Doing great. A drizzly morning here in Olympia. But, that's kind of the way we like it here in the Northwest, right?
Yeah, I mean, it keeps everything green. I will let everyone know you might be seeing a little bit of a lag in our video and our audio. For whatever reason, this morning we're just having some streaming issues. So we're gonna push through though, and we're gonna have Bob bring on his guest now. So have a little patience with us. Let us know in the feed for sure if you're having issues, and I'll try to work on that. And the producers will work on it from the back end as well to try and fix any issues with delay and sound as we move through the interview today with Adriana, who I just popped on the screen. Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
I
guys.
can't see her. Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah. So to everyone that's watching this morning, our guest is Adriana Villanueva. She heads the office of In Conexus in Colombia, which is I'll do a real brief explanation, but then I'm going to turn it over to you, Adriana, and you could explain everything that you do to help producers and producing partners like us at Baddorf and Bronson connect with fine Colombian coffees. But Adriana is basically a exporter in Bogota, but also runs kind of an agronomy support program for small producers all over Colombia. So I'll just kind of let you have at it here, Adriana. Tell us who you are, what you do, and what makes you so special besides the obvious.
Thank you, Bob, and thanks for inviting me, Bob and Josh. Yes, it's very nice to be here, and it's a good opportunity to show and to tell you a little bit about what we do in Colombia. So we as In Conexus, we are a specialty coffee company, but we define more than exporters. We define ourselves like developers of coffee, specialty, and sustainable supply chain. So why developers? Because we do intervention in the whole supply chain from the farm. So we operate directly in a partnership with the farmers, with the smallholders, helping them to enhance their operations. So we work with close to 10,000 coffee growers in 7 big regions in Colombia, from north to south. And the way that we do is we have our own hubs and our own programs, and we define where our yearly objectives and what we want to develop with those coffee growers. And we bring a different strategy, depends on the regions where they are. Yeah. For example, I remember that you and me, we were in 2015 in Tolima, and then in the south of Tolima, we have one of our hubs, and we were one of the first companies to be able to get into the south of Tolima, because before we had a lot of guerrilla and this internal war.
Yeah.
And then we have in Tolima, and when you and me we were there, we were under our program Peace and Sustainability. So we have our own hubs, but we run different projects, partnering with international cooperation or with different organizations that can bring funds, and we bring technical assistance. And our idea finally is to create sustainability. We believe that the rural communities are so powerful, and all you need to do is empower them to bring the opportunity. So we are not only creating bridges for them to the market, but we are also creating projects together with them, to create a better product, a project behind this coffee.
Sure.
And also for us, it's very important to show a coffee with a face, like Don Edward, Don Pedro, from different farms. So
yeah, and I think so. Just real quick, like, sorry to interrupt, Adriana, but for those that are listening or watching, currently our Las Brisas, our Colombia Las Brisas, which is a Tolima coffee, is coffee that we've partnered up with you guys to bring in. So for those that are out there wondering specifically the Batdorf, that would be the one right now that we currently have in our inventory that we're selling, that you guys could potentially be drinking. And yeah, it's funny you bring up that trip to Tolima, that when we were together, because it was back kind of towards the beginning of when we were doing these online broadcasts, and people are always asking questions about memorable moments when you're on the road or doing things as the green coffee buyer. And one of my most memorable moments was that evening when we were deep into the heart of Tolima, and there were some skirmishes up ahead, so we had to turn around and go back. And I don't know if you remember the little truck stop that we stopped at for supper that night, and it was a very enriching experience for me culturally, and it was memorable. So this is the trip that Adriana is referring to, the same trip that I talked about before. So yeah, so we at Batdorf have worked with you multiple times now on coffees from Huila in Tolima.
Right.
You mentioned that you're working in many areas of Colombia. So from your perspective, I'd like to hear, how would you describe kind of the flavor profiles of, say, coffees from the north versus coffees from the south of Colombia? Because this is something that I've spoken with customers a lot, how we tend to gravitate towards the south, Tolima, Huila. So what do you think, as a coffee consumer, you could expect to find in terms of flavor profile in these different areas?
And we as In Conexus, we have trying to develop programs where we put together sustainability in the farm, like shade ground farms, agroforestry, great practices towards to high quality. Usually in the market are like two different drivers. So for us, it's very important to go together, and then we see the methodology to enhance with sustainable practices those flavors. Like I give you an example, like with our beehive program that we have, like farms with beehives, it enrich the flavors. So saying that is like each region is very interesting, and we identified micro regions or microclimates where we want to focus on our programs. So for example, in the Sierra Nevada, even the Sierra Nevada coffee could have a regional profile, but we are always looking for microclimates or micro-regional profiles to bring more complexity to the coffees. So in the north, we have an organic program in the Sierra Nevada, and also a women's power program in the Serranía del Perijá, which is really up in the north.
Yeah.
And then you can see in the flavor profile, you see more chocolate nuts, more almond. You see like lower medium acidity. In the past, it was like very hard to get this coffee from the indigenous. So you actually used to have like these specific flavors of a little earthy. It was kind of very from this region. Now that we have been doing intervention in different microclimates, we have been like highlighting the best from those profiles. So you get more brightness in the coffees, and then in the Serranía del Perijá, you have more flower notes. So in the past, you expect just a coffee from Sierra Nevada just to be chocolate and nuts, and now you can see more complexity. And many of our clients like this coffee for espresso because it's a very flexible coffee. And also, for example, in Santander is also in the north, and you see more flower notes than the Sierra Nevada. But then you go extreme to Cauca, Nariño. Nariño, then you'll see like everything that you see very, very mild in the north, you see very intense. It's like high acidity, brightness, a lot of brightness, sparkling cups. Like is like if you see the colors to have like very intense colors. So each coffee is unique. Each microregion that we work is unique, and I guess it's like people personality and or character. You need to take out the best of each one. Like everyone has good and bad things, and then our work is to enhance the beauty of each coffee and each microregion. Like the Tolima one, for example, is a very balanced coffee. Is a lot of character, right? But then you have a lot of sweetness, and then you have like maple syrup, and sometimes you have, depends if it's like main harvest or fly crop, you get more like red fruits, or you get more like citric and orange and these kind of notes. So it's a lot of difference, and we are very blessed here in Colombia because the Andean mountain range that comes from South America, it arrives to the south of Colombia in what we call Nudo de los Pastos, very in the south, and divide in 3 different mountain ranges.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
bring a lot of microclimates and opportunities to develop different coffees. That's why we are able to deliver coffee.
Yeah, I think the people, when they think Colombian coffee, oftentimes they're just, obviously the Colombian government did just a brilliant marketing campaign with Juan Valdez back in the day. But there's obviously a lot of complexity when it comes to coffee production in Colombia, and the microclimates, the mountain ranges, just the challenges with transportation is something that's always, being able to overcome some of these challenges when it comes to getting coffee to warehouses and such. And, we run into that a lot in Tolima and Huila. You might be trying to get to a town that's only 30, 40 kilometers away, but it could take you a long time to get there. So one of the things that really impressed me about producers that you're working with in Tolima in particular was just the age of some of the farmers there. These are young, kind of that next generation of coffee farmers in Colombia. And I'm wondering if maybe you could speak to that kind of transition from the kind of old culture of coffee in Colombia to what the reality of what's happening now is, because I think it's really interesting.
Yes, that's true. It's like an average of age of coffee growers in different regions in Colombia. It could be like 65
Mm-hmm.
years old, like, 50 to 70. So when we start the intervention in Tolima and doing projects, we create a program that is called New Generation. And then together with this project, Peace and Sustainability, like we were like, hey, there are a lot of people that they were in the war, in the internal war, or they just saw their parents like suffering from coffee, not getting money. They just want to go to the city and get a job and say like, hey, we need to show how sexy is the coffee culture and the coffee that you can offer different jobs and could be kind of cool for teenagers. So we create this like new generation, and then we start like involving coffee growers. And now some of the coffee growers that you met at this time, right now, they are the most innovative coffee growers. Like, for example, Las Brisas and Las Delicias
Mm-hmm.
that you are actually buying, that is a big family. They are like experimenting, and we are right now, Oscar, one of our guys, is right there in Planadas, like doing a lot of processings, anaerobics, different things. And for them, this is cool. Like, hey, we don't have to do like the same thing to bring it to the cooperative, and they put our coffee in the pile, and this is like a poverty circle. We have different options. So we have, like, for this program, we pay like a entry premium for being like new generation, and then we link this coffee producer more with innovative process, that they feel that they are doing something different, and then they are conditioning the farm. And also we are all like, we can be very innovative, but we have to be sustainable. So let's take care as well from the agroforestry, from different programs. So in order to have a good balance. And I think it's one of the beauties of our Tolima program, that we really start from scratch. We are seeing these people like just flowering from the war, as to be coffee growers, to be entrepreneurs, and now like to the next step, to not only to be good, but to be excellent and to create innovation. So has been very, very interesting, this project, and this new generation of coffee growers. Also, it's gonna depend on the market, on the consumers, on the buyers, that we appreciate coffee that is growing in a different way, because they just don't want the same that their parents. They don't want like to be in the poverty circle. They want to be cool in the coffee.
Yep. No, absolutely. So we're talking about the supply chain of coffee. We're talking about transparency in that supply chain. And, people often will refer to importers, exporters as the middlemen or middle people in that supply chain. And one of the things that I'm constantly really trying to explain is, if you're providing a valuable service to the producer, you're not a middle person. You're a service provider. And in this instance, I mentioned, the export that you provide, but that's just a small part of what it is you do. Like you said, you provide agronomy support, there's processing support, there's exportation and transportation in country, and then there's the connections that we make with buyers like ourselves. I mean, I'm obviously not flying into Bogota, hopping on a taxi and shooting out or down to Tolima or Huila and just finding a coffee producer. So these are things that when I talk about service providers and that supply chain of coffee, that I'm really referring to. And it's valuable service, and there's value to it. So thank you. I thank you along with the producers. But yeah, that's it's interesting. It's important that people know that and know what it is you guys do. So Okay, where is Colombia right now in terms of crop cycle? I heard you mention fly crop, main crop. Can you maybe just kind of explain what that means from a Colombian perspective?
Yes. It's like
Depending on where you're at, obviously, right?
yeah, exactly. It's I'm trying to find the words to explain. The first thing is like there are regions that from where we provide coffee the whole year, like Huila, for example. To give you an example, like Huila, we have like main harvest in the south. Is really changing because climate change, but is from September, October to February, like main harvest in Huila.
Mm-hmm.
But then in central Huila, right now we are in main harvest, which is kind of hard to, you know. So south of Huila is in fly crop right now, and central Huila is in main harvest. Then it switch.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are brands that we have that we have compounds of both to create a very good quality. Or there are brands that are just Central Huila, like our rainforest program,
Yeah.
for example, different. And then Tolima, right now we are in main harvest. We are in main harvest, supposed to be like from March, April to September, but there are a delay in the harvest plus the pandemic. So we are a little bit moved. But then we have the fly crop. The thing is like the fly crop in Tolima is very high quality. It's like to have like a main harvest. So there are regions that there is not a lot of difference. But for example, in the Sierra Nevada, we have mainly, in the past, we just have one harvest because it was more influenced with the Central America harvest and latitude.
Yeah.
But now climate change again. Now we have a little fly crop. And for us, it's very good because we have two dry mills. Our quality from the farm to the own operation, from farm to port. We have our own hubs in the microregions, and we own our dry mills. So we have a dry mill in the north, in Santa Marta.
Yeah.
You have one. It's very cool. Because you know the Ibagué one in the south, where we process most of the microlots and coffees from the south. So we kind of have all the country covered in the, as I say, in the microclimates and in the programs that we are interested in. We have this advantage to have all the regions covered. We have, for example, in one container different coffees from different regions, microlots, different as well. So
yeah, I think
understand that you have to be very careful on what, for example, Las Brisas have to harvesting all the time.
Well, okay, so this is what I was going to kind of get to is, you know, obviously we know that our crop cycle is kind of dictated by rainy cycles of flowering, right? And often in Colombia, there isn't a distinction between dry, so therefore you're getting flower 8-9 months later you have ripe fruit. So one of the things that I've kind of explained to people on the past, there's more coffee ripening up, and then there's the rest of the year where there always seems to be some little bit of coffee that's coming in, and that's fly crop or mitaka. So it's interesting to hear hear, you know, how that pans out in the different regions of Colombia. Um, you know, my impression was that the North always had that kind of, with everything that's going on right now, the challenges that we're all facing, trying to logistically keep business moving with quarantines and you know, lockdowns and such. Maybe real briefly, do you want to talk to us about what's going on in Colombia and how that's affecting you guys?
Yeah, I actually sent you one video that sent me the guys from Las Brisas and Las Delicias that you can check it out. It's very interesting. Um, has it's like the first time, like in Colombia, the coffee growers and farmers in the rural zones, people are is very open. You know, they are like, sure, come here. You know, this is
Yeah.
my farm. How would you like? You know, open arms. And it's like the first time in my life that I see farmers really scared, like they don't want visits, you know, like it's
Yeah.
not even Colombia way. It's very so the municipalities are closed, has been closed, and it's very restricted the logistics. For us, for example, was very hard to start moving coffee. We have to be very creative to get a lot of protection for our personnel, to be very, you know, do a lot of planning because we have staff in each region. We have our own hubs with warehouses, labs, and everything. So we have to
different flavor profiles. And to me, it truly is the country where you can find a flavor profile that will fit your bill or your desires of what you want to experience in a cup. And that balance and that high acidity or citric qualities, or those kind of lower tones, chocolate, and just classic coffee flavors, it's all there. You just gotta sit through the pile and find it. So it's one of the things that I've always loved and appreciated about Colombian coffees.
Yeah, I was able to go ahead.
Okay. No, I just want to add that, like, when we started the company, we worked more in the frame of add value too. Like, it was so many things to do in the specialty coffee industry in Colombia that we just want to add. Then in 2016, we changed a little bit our vision and our philosophy, and we changed more in the share value. And it's something that I want to invite everyone. We come to a farm. So in the past, we came with our technicals, agronomists. We said, like, hey, this is the recipe. If you want to improve, you have to do this. And share value means, like, we arrive to a farm, we validate the knowledge that the coffee farm has for a generation, we learn from them, and we try to bring on the table what we have, but also we invite our clients to be part of this share value. And that's why has been really great, like, to work with Bader from Bronson. Like, we feel like they understand what is behind what we do. They understand the meaning of direct trade and understand how to share value, not only with us and with the farmers, but with consumers. And I think that's share value, like, everyone in the supply chain, like the consumer also know that through the consumption decisions, they take a lot of decisions, like take the decision to drink a sustainable coffee or specialty coffee, and it has an impact in the whole supply chain. And that's why I just want to invite everyone to work more in this Michael Porter view of share value, like that we can all add value and we are all connected, and everything that we do through drinking a cup of coffee, it really impacts in the farm and in the coffee growers. And I think with this pandemic, we have all the message that we are very interconnected. Like, in Bogota, the last week we have some contamination because the Sahara this desert. So we have to create consciousness of how connected we are, and when we are buying a coffee in a supermarket or we are buying a coffee to any brand, that we have to be sure that is like a sustainable source, ethically sourced, and there is something behind, something else, not just like we can feel our cup of coffee in the morning with a lot of meaning. So I just want to mention that has been great working with you, Bob, and thanks for believing in us. And you were one of the first clients that we were able to bring in south of Tolima after the internal one.
Yeah, thank you, Adriana. And I think that's really important what you're saying. And yeah, it's never been my job to try and tell a coffee producer how to grow coffee. That's like you said, they've been doing this for generations, and I just, yeah, it's a show me. I like the show me aspect of it, and
Well, thanks again for joining us.
Well,
I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting now. I
Thank you,
appreciate you
Josh.
being here, both of you. I know it was a little bit trying. We had a little bit of audio issues in connectivity, but I think folks definitely heard what you were saying there at the end, very loud and clear. And I know it's something that Bob continues to talk to us about. So we're really appreciating hearing it from you. Thank you so much for that message and that message of connectivity. Um, have a great day, Bob. Good to see you again. And we'll talk about what's next after this show.
all right, cool.
Thanks for setting up everything, Josh. Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
Take care. Good talk. Ciao, ciao.
Hey, folks. Well, golly, that was pretty rough on my end. I apologize for connectivity issues. I'm not sure exactly why that was happening, but it happened. So hopefully you were able to hear